So you think you want to sell your house. Great. But where do you start? If you don't know the process, if you don't know how to price your house or how long it will take to sell, this video is for you. Selling a house can be a very daunting process, but the good news is it doesn't have to be if you go about it the right way.
First step would be finding a solid agent to work with.
Okay, and make sure that when you are looking at Google reviews, make sure that the reviews that you're basing your decision to hire an agent on are actually current and not from the past.
And don't be afraid to interview 2 or 3 different agents before deciding.
Next up, make sure that you're clear on who you're going to be working with. Is this agent going to hand you over to some of their team members and you'll never see that agent again until the close of escrow? So you got to understand who you're actually working with.
And last but not least, don't be afraid to ask them what sets them apart. Why should you work with them over any other agent? Next step would be making sure that they have an understanding of what your motivation and your timelines are, and they should outline a strategy for you.
Right. And then I would also say, obviously, at that point, the evaluation of the property would be front and foremost as well.
Absolutely. And they should also give you an idea of what sort of improvements that you can make to really make your property stand out on the market.
Ideally, we would like to have about a 2-week window from the time we sign the listing agreement until the property goes into the MLS. And that is for a couple of reasons. Obviously, we want to get marketing collateral ready, pictures, videos, drones, and so forth, and put together a nice flyer about the property with all the property information. But there may be other issues or reasons why we would need a longer time period.
Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that you have appropriate time to prep the house. Aside from photos and videos, a fresh coat of paint might help. Having the house decluttered or even staged can really help the property stand out. So there's a variety of reasons that you might want a little bit of time to really prepare before showing your house to other people. Once the home is listed, those first few weeks on market are really critical. Talk to me a little bit about what we can expect to see.
Okay, during the first week, what we'd like to do is we'd like to put the property on what is called the broker's caravan. That's when all the agents from a specific neighborhood get to experience the house in person for the first time. Then we also would like to obviously do an open house on Sunday. So the first week really gives us a lot of feedback from both agents and potential buyers.
And a lot of exposure. Yeah,
correct.
I think one of the other things that you should expect are private showings. So it's important to keep your home in show-ready condition because some of these private showings might be scheduled, but some of them might be last minute. So you need to be flexible.
There are, however, a few key things for us to consider during that very important first week. What do you think, Quinn?
Well, I think leaving your property on market for an adequate amount of time before you jump on an offer is really key. We typically recommend 5 to 7 days before accepting an offer to give other buyers opportunity to submit offers, and jumping on that first one often means you miss out on a lot of money.
Secondly, I would say it's very important for a seller to order all the HOA documents at this point in time. What we don't want is being in escrow and then a long delivery period for HOA documents that can screw up all the timelines that we have in the contract.
One of the points that we touched on earlier is making sure that you're flexible with showings. Like I said, keep your house in show-ready condition. Some of these showings are going to happen last minute.
To build on what Quinn said, don't jump on an offer, even if it's full price, if you receive it within the first 24 hours. Be patient, trust the process, expose the property to as many people as you possibly can, and let the property, just kind of like a good glass of wine, let it breathe on the market. Fast forward, let's say you've accepted an offer. What's next?
Well, next step is the listing agent is going to open escrow. This is a third party that's going to hold funds and documents to make sure that all the terms of the contract are met.
This is also the time that the seller is under the obligation to submit all their disclosures to the buyer for their review.
It's during this time that the buyer is also going to conduct inspections. A licensed inspector is going to come in and take a look at the property and make sure there's not any substantial issues that are going to cause problems down the road.
At the end of the buyer's inspection periods, the buyer has 3 options. Either they're going to accept the condition of the property and the disclosures, they're going to ask for certain repairs to be done, or they may even ask a credit. And at that point, the seller has the choice to either say yes, no, or I'll meet you somewhere in the middle.
Once the buyer and seller agree on any credits or repairs that are negotiated, the next big step is removal of contingencies. At this point, you as a seller, once those contingencies are removed, can take a big sigh of relief because the buyer can no longer back out without forfeiting their deposit to you.
Once the contingencies have been removed, it is usually smooth sailing. The seller signs their papers, the buyer does their loan paper signing, and so usually we're just waiting for the close of escrow at this point in time.
And last but not least is close of escrow. At this point, any remaining paperwork is signed, keys are transferred, and funds are transferred between parties.
And one comment, if I may, the seller actually does have an obligation to maintain the property from the point that the offer was accepted until the close of escrow. So a seller can't just walk away and let a property unattended for the entire escrow period. So that's one obligation that remains with the seller until the close of escrow. As you can see, there's a lot of steps that go into selling your property. The good news, again, it doesn't have to be overwhelming as long as you have the right agent by your side.
If you're thinking about selling your home, Marcus and I would love to have a conversation with you and help you create a strategy to get top dollar for your home. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss an update. And as always, thanks for watching.
See you on the next one.